This is Pre-Calculus Chapter 1 review. We're doing problem number 91 where we're doing inequalities, and we're looking at these inequalities, comparing them to 0. So in problem number 91, I'm looking for where that product is going to be negative, that this less than or equal to 0 means negative. Now you might be saying, what do you mean by product? I don't see a product there. You see a division problem, you see a fraction. But it really is a product. Remember how we say there's no such thing as subtraction, it's just adding a negative. Well, there's no such thing as division, it's just multiplying the reciprocal. So if we look at this fraction, x minus 4 over x squared minus 4, and factor that denominator, and when we say here that we're dividing by x plus 2, and we are also dividing by x minus 2, it's the same thing as multiplying by their reciprocals. So now you can see that it really is a product problem. And I want to know where this product is going to be less than 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the critical values. And the critical values are where each one of those products would be 0. Now, at 4, this would be 0. Here you'd say, well, this isn't going to be 0, but the denominator would be. And granted, x can't equal 2 or negative 2, but it still makes those the critical values in the problem. So we're going to set up a table where we have basically this is a number line. And I put the 3 critical values on it. I did dashed lines here because x can't equal those. And I did a solid line here to remind me when I'm all done, I can just look at this visually and say that these are not equal to, and this isn't equal to. So I'm going to look for each one of these factors, x minus 4, x minus 2, and x plus 2, where they will be positive or negative. Granted, we really want the reciprocal of x minus 2 and the reciprocal of x plus 2, but their reciprocals will be negative when the factor itself is negative. So I'm just going to look at each one of them. So when x is less than negative 2, then x minus 4 is negative, and between negative 2 and 2, x minus 4 is negative. Between 2 and 4, x minus 4 is negative. And finally, when we get to be greater than 4, that factor will be positive. And you do this for each one of the factors. We're interested in their product, so now we're just looking at when you multiply a negative times a negative times a negative, you happen to get another negative. And so we're going to go through that and figure out each one of those products. Remember, we're only interested where the product is negative, so I'm going to cross out the areas where that's not true. That's where the products would be positive. And so you can see here in these two areas, this is the only place where it's true. So therefore, the answer would be x is less than 2, or x could be between, excuse me, that should say negative 2. X is less than negative 2, or x is between positive 2 and positive 4. The problem did ask us to answer in interval notation. So, interval notation instead of that inequality notation would be this. And we also are supposed to graph that on a number line. So that's how I graph on a number line.